I changed needles, but they are exactly the same size 6 millimeters. I just needed a longer needle. It's a little more difficult for recording with a longer needle, but it's easier for the increases of stitches that I have to do when I'm working with all those stitches on my needle. So now I have to increase 15 stitches, and 15 stitches will be the 10 centimeters that I need here. So to do those increase, I'm gonna do it with my short needle. It's easy for me to record. You're gonna place your needle in between the first and the second stitches in between, and you're gonna net. You're gonna pull your yarn, and then this needle you're gonna bring it to this side and pass it through that hole. Pull your yarn, not too tight because you want that stitch loose. You're gonna again bring your needle in between those two stitches. You're gonna net another one. You're gonna pull your yarn, bring this one, you see, and pass it through there. Like that, you're gonna increase 15 stitches. Here I finished casting out my 15 stitches. So now because we are working on the sleeve, you don't gonna need that border stitches. So as long as we're working on the sleeve, that stitch is gonna be part of the sleeve. Okay. So you will have 16 stitches for the sleeve, and then the rest that you have here is the body stitch. That is the one with the design. So now we're gonna do this row completely of purl. So this is a purl row. So I'm gonna work with my long needles. Because I need to have all those stitches in here. So you're gonna purl all the way to the end. That's why I recommend to work the sleeve on a purl row, or to start the sleeve. Here I finish with that row, and I have one part of the sleeve. Now I'm going to do the other part. So I'm going to do exactly the same as I did. I'm going to net and pass the stitch back to the needle. Like this, I'm going to continue until I have 15 stitches. Here I have my two part for the sleeve. So I cast on my 15 stitches in this side. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna purl 4, and always in the right side of the piece. This is the right side because my yarn is in this side. This is the right side. So you're always gonna purl those four first stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4 purl. You're gonna net 12. And that's the sleeve, and then in the part of the body you're going to do whatever repetition you have to do. For me it will be repetition of row number 3 for the body, and then after that I will net 12 and purl 4. In the next row you will purl all the 16 stitches for the sleeve. You will do in the body the repetition of row number 4, at least for me it's repetition of row number 4, and then I will purl the sleeve. Always in the wrong side of the sleeve you're gonna purl them, and on the right side you purl 4 and net 12. That repetition on the sleeve until we have the desired size for the sleeve. For the body will be the repetition of whatever row you're working with. So that's what we're gonna do. Something that I wanted to mention: if you want this little baby sweater a little bit bigger, you have to do, I know the stitches multiple of 4, but you don't add just 4 stitches. You will have to add 8 4 for one side and 4 for the other one, or 16, and like that. Okay, you have to add 2 motifs at a time. So now I'm gonna purl my first 4 stitches, and that will create a little bit of a cuff in the beginning of the sleeve by working always this row and a purl row in the right or the wrong side of the sleeve. So I'm gonna net now my 12 stitches. Here I have my 12 net for my sleeve. Now I'm gonna start with the repetition of my row number 3. That will be 3 purl, 1 stitch that you don't gonna work, 3 purl, and so on until you get to the end where you will do your 12 net and your 4 purl. Here I pass my yarn to the back, I pass the stitch, the last stitch that you don't gonna work, and then since we're gonna work the sleeve in the net row, you don't have to bring the yarn to the front, you continue with the yarn on the back and do your 12 net. And then you 4 Here I finish that row. Now you're gonna do 16 purl, repetition of row number 4, 16 purls. The next row, 4 purl, 12 net, repetition of row number 5, 12 net, and 4 purl. Like that you're going to continue working the repetition until you have like 8 centimeters. Here I wanted to show you how it's coming so far. So I had to finish this row and the next one, and I will have 8 centimeters here. Here I have 8 centimeters, probably a few little more lines from my measurement tape. Don't have to be exactly 8 centimeters because we had to do around 10 centimeters for the width of our sleeve. So here you're going to use some markers, or maybe you don't need markers. So I did just to show you how we're going to work in here. This is nothing to do with the sleeve will stay the same. Here, when you start the motif that we've been doing, we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches, and we're going to place the marker. We're going to count 16 in the center, place the marker, and 8 will remain of the stitch. Those 16 on the center, they will be purl. Always in the right side of the piece, they had to be purl until we have 10 centimeters in total here. Okay? So you're going to do everything how you've been working till now except in those 16. So here in the sleeve you will continue with that. Here in the motif you will continue with the row that you're supposed to do. For me, I finished row number 40, and row number 40 was the repetition of row number 8. Now row number 41 will be the repetition of 5 and then 6. So row 5 is a net row. So I will purl these 4, net this one long one in the back strand of the yarn until I get here before the marker. When I get there, the next one, those 16, they will be purl. And then back again to net until I do my 4 purl. So when I come back in the back row, this will be purl and this 16 will be net because I want them to be purl in this side. And then you will purl these ones. I finished there, I passed my marker. Now we're going to purl this one. And now I'm going to show you what you're going to do with this long one. Remember, this one we're supposed to net it through the back. Since we're going to purl, we're going to take it out, put that strand of yarn that was in the front to the back, and the one that was in the back to the front. Now the stitch is facing this needle. Now you purl there, and that stitch will be straight open like the other ones once you purl the next one. You see, like that. So you're gonna do that and these other 3 long stitches when you're gonna purl. You have to take it out and switch it here. You see, that's turn in the front and this one in the back. Well, you have to take it out and pass it like that. Now the one that was in the back is in the front. Here I finished row number 43 and was the repetition of row 3. Here I'm gonna work now in the row number 44 and I want to do 2 increases because here I want to cast off 10 for the color, so I will have 3 and 3. I will be missing 1 stitch on each side. So what I'm gonna do is increase 1 stitch on each side and then I will have my 4 for my design. So you're gonna work until you go back into the marker and then I'll show you how we're gonna increase 1 stitch on each side. Here I got to the marker. So now I have to net 1. We're gonna do an increase and the increase will be you're gonna net in the next one. You're gonna pull your yarn and that loop you're gonna place it back in the needle. So now you net that one that you place back and the next one that is like a yarn over, like a big long stitch, you're gonna net in that one and like that you increase a stitch in here. So you're gonna continue working your nets until you get here to the last stitch before the marker. Now we're gonna do the last increase. We're gonna net 1 and now we're gonna net a stitch and the last one. And like that we increase 2 stitches and you'll have 18 now in here. So you're going to continue working the end of this row and in the way back we'll start my mind was in blank completely. Casting off the color, sorry about that. Here I finished row number 44. For row number 45 we're going to continue with the same sequence that we've been doing so far. So for purl 12 net and then now we have to net this row because it's going to be the repetition of row number 5. And here after the marker, those 4 purl, you're going to purl those 4. That's it. And then we're going to cast off or 10 stitches for the color and then we're going to continue working in this side of the piece. Here is where you're going to need to put these stitches in strand of yarn or in the long safety pin, or you can leave it in the needle like I'm going to do. For now I'm going to leave mine on my needle. So I'm going to work until I get here and I will show you how we're going to cast off the color. Here I finish with the purl 4. I remove the marker because I know those 4 always going to be purl on the right side and net in the wrong side. So now we're going to cast off our 10 stitches for the color. So what we're going to do is purl these 2 together. And now that stitch we're going to pass it back to the needle. So purl these 2 together. When you purl 2 together you're going to end up with 1 stitch in this needle, so that stitch you're going to pass it back to the other needle. Like that you're going to continue casting off until you have 4 stitches left. Here I have 4 left, but if you look you have another one here, so you have to decrease that one too. So leaving 3, you're going to do these 2 together. And then you're going to bring back that stitch and there you have your 4. Now you're going to work those 4 purls and the stitches that you're supposed to be working in this side, and then we're going to continue working in this side at the sweater, and after we will do exactly the same that we did in this side to this one. Once you finish working in the other side it will be like that. This is the color. So you're going to work in the wrong side of the piece and that will be row number 46 and repetition of row 6. I finished row number 46. Now in row number 47, that is the right side of the piece, we're going to do row 7, and we're going to do an increase. Each time we have to work in the right side of the piece, we're going to do an increase. And because I want to do the color, not like this one, round, but more like in a shape that will come down like this. Okay? So to do that, I'm going to leave these stitches in this needle. So if you don't have an extra needle, you can use any of these pins or even a strand of yarn. So I'm going to purl my 4 stitches. Now I'm going to do an increase. I'm going to purl another stitch, and I'm going to place the back of my needle, and I'm going to purl again that stitch. So now my design is, and I need to purl this one because that was the increase, is number 7, and then the next one is yarn to the back, pass that to the front, yarn to the front, and purl 3. So you're going to continue working in your piece like that, doing those increases and working the design as it go. And I will let you know, I'm going to work off camera, I'll let you know how many row of increases and how many increases in total. Here I'm going to do row number 51, and it's the repetition of row number 3. But now, since we've been increasing, this is my third increase. So here I did 1, 2, 3, my 4 border stitch. I did my increase, that's 1 and 2. And now if you count your stitches, you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches plus the one that's supposed to be the one without working. So now you can do this one without working, the stitch number 7 here. And like that, we're going to start adding some more of the design in the front. Here's what I've done so far, and it look like this. By increasing in here, you see, the design start to push this way to do the color in the front. So what now I have to do is work straight until I get to here. You see the same length of my sleeve, still a little piece more to go. So I'm gonna work until here, and then I'm gonna cast off or bind off my 15 stitches of my sleeve, and then I will have the border stitch again. So I'm gonna work straight until I have the length of this back piece. I will cut the yarn, and then I will come here and I start working in here, and I will do exactly the same that I did on this side. And if you look here, as I was increasing, I was changing the position of the stitch, adding more of those stitches like that. So here we have 2, here we have 1, here we have 2, but then here we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and now in this one we'll have 4. And then work straight. And here what I did was, each time I did the increase, it was in a purl stitch that was in the right side of the piece, and when I worked those 2 stitches in the wrong side of the piece, I did them in purl 2. So always purl the increases. Here I'm about to cast off or bind off my sleeve. So since my last increase here I did, that was row 58, so I did row 59, 60, 61, and 62 without any increase. So now I'm going to do row number 63. That is my repetition of row number 6, but I'm going to cast off my 15 stitches that I increased for my sleeve. So we have to remember to leave the border stitch there. So I'm going to place the marker here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to cast off the sleeve. So now I'm gonna do this row. I place my marker, and this is repetition of row number 6. It's a purl row, so I'm gonna purl the first one, purl the second one, and you're gonna pass the first one on top of the second one, and you cast off your first stitch. Like that, you're gonna continue until the end. I mark my 15 stitches, but I know in this side of the marker, when I finish with the 15, I will have one, so I'll have to cast it off with the border stitch here. Otherwise, I will have an extra stitch. Here I have my last stitch before the marker. I'm gonna remove my marker, and I'm gonna purl that one, and I'm gonna pass this one on top of that one, and place it back on my needle. Like that, you cast off your entire sleeve, and that is this border stitch. So now you're gonna work the rest at this part here, doing exactly the stitch and the 4 border stitch all the way until here. And remember that you have to do the border again, this border. Here I wanted to show you that I finished that half at the front, and that I'm already ready to work on the other side. So I wanted to show you how you're going to start the other side. You have to start from the inside out, because remember that row you finish there when you're going from here to the other side. So you have to continue from here out. So I already attached my yarn to the first stitch, and I'm ready to finish this other front part. So I'm gonna do exactly the same thing that I did for this one, but in the reverse. So I'll meet you here when I have that part done. Here's something that I wanted to show you before I start working off camera, is that here, if you look, you have a separation between that stitch and here. So I recommend that first stitch that you have there, you pass it through to your needle. You have all your stitches, and you will work that one in the purl, because it's a purl stitch that you have there first. So that will give you a better finish in that piece there. So you will continue with this row. For me, it will be that purl, 3 net. The rest of them are purl, because this is will be the repetition of row number 6. And then in here I will start again, you know, with my 4 purls, my nets, and then whatever repetition I have to do of the stitch in here. Once you finish the other side at the sweater, it will be just like this. Something that I recommend, that was a mistake that I made, and if you're watching first the video before you start the little sweater, I recommend this part in the front, do both sides, the right side and the wrong side, purl, because I did purl on the right side and net on the wrong side, and it started to curl out like this. So I recommend to do either purl on both sides or net on both sides at the border. Okay, so that's something that I recommend, because after I done almost 1/2 at the first one, I realized my mistake, and then I left it like that, and it will be like this. And now I'm gonna grab a piece of yarn. I'm gonna sew here and here in a zigzag, and I will place the buttons, and I will show you the end result. Here I'm going to just show you. If you look at the side of your piece, you'll see the stitch that is a little higher than the other one. So those are the ones that you're going to match one with the other one, and you'll sew those. And in here the same, you see, it's very easy. So you're going to do that in a zigzag. I'm going to do it off camera, and I'll show you. Here I already did 2 buttons. I pass it through. Here I wanted to show you how I did my buttonhole. With my needle, I found where my buttons is on the other side, right in the center, and I stretch that stitch there to make that stitch open. And once you have it like that, you'll pass your button through there, and that stitch will stay like that, nice and loose, and like that you pass your button, and voila, it's done. That's how I did my little buttonhole. And the little baby sweater will be like that. This baby sweater can be done in a girl's color or in a boy's color. It works for either of them. So you can do it in white, pink, yellow, green, even gray, any color. If you don't know the gender of the baby, you can do it in any neutral color. So I hope you guys like it and give it a thumbs up. And subscribe to my channel if you are not already a subscriber. And if you make this baby sweater and you want to send me some picture, you can do it through my Facebook page, Ruby Stedman, or you can find me in my Instagram, Ruby Stedman Crochet. I wish you have a beautiful day. Bye.